Hi, I'm Alexander Maxim from Ethiopian.io. Today we will continue our series about PHP. We will check the array methods, array fill keys, array fill, array flip, and array filter. Let's start. Firstly, we will start with the array fill keys method. What's the array fill keys? This method fills the array with the value and the values they are passed as parameter as keys. It has two parameters. The value, which is the value that you will make in all the keys, and the array, which is an array of values will be used as keys. Turns values that are not allowed as keys to checks. This method will turn an associative array with the keys passed as parameter and the same value for them. Let's take an example to understand what's the array fill keys. Firstly, we will add the comments array fill keys. We will use echo to print title array fill keys, and inside I will create an array of keys. So I have 3 elements in the keys array. I will just print this array using firstly the tag pre and the method printer. I will pass keys as parameter and I will reload and see the result. So we have the array fill keys. We have Alexander, John, Mike as values for the keys array. Now I will create another array, persons, for example. I will use array fill keys. So I will fill the keys of this array, of the persons array, by these values or by this array. So I will pass this array as parameter and the value for all of these keys. So the value will be Alex company, for example. So all these persons work in Alex company. Let's print the persons array after the keys to see the result. When we load, we have the first array, which is the keys array, and the second array, which is the persons array. So Alexander, John, Mike as keys for the persons array. So we have filled the key. So we have filled this array by these keys that they are values in the keys array, and we have the same value for them, Alex company. So let's see how the array fill keys works. So firstly, we have an array. This array contains values. By using the array fill keys, we have the array passed as parameter or the keys and the value. So how it works? This array here, the array fill keys, will check in our array, the keys here, will check if there is elements in this array. So it will take the first element and create a new array, a new associative array. So when we say associative, so we have the key and the value like that. The key and the value. It will take this key or this value for this array and make it like a key here. The same thing, it will check if there is another element. It will get this element and make it as second element here, etc. to the last item. Then it will take this value passed as parameter and make this value for all the the elements or all the keys, as a value for all the keys exists in our associative array. And this is the array fill keys. It will return this array, the keys from this array and the value here, the same value for them, and this is the result. The same value Alex company and the keys from this array, because they are values in this array. After the array fill keys, we have the array fill method. What's the array fill method? This method fills a number of array elements equal to num with a value starting with the start index. It has three parameters. The num, which is the number of elements that you want to fill. If the number is less than 0, it will generate or it will return an warning error. So the number, it must be greater than 0. And the second parameter is the value that the method will fill. The third parameter is the start index, is the index that the method will start with. If it's a negative number, it will start from the number and the next index will be 0. Let's take an example to understand what's the array fill method. So we will use a comment and a title. After that, I will define an array of persons. Persons 1, it's an array. We have person 1, so we have an array of persons, person 1, person 2, person 3, and I will use another array, for example, like that, persons f, persons fill. I will use array fill, and we have three parameters. The start index, I will start with 1, the num from the index 0, sorry, and the num is 1, or the number of repetition in this array, and the value, which is the persons 1. Let's print the persons f array, and let's read and see. So the array fill, we have our array. It has returned a multi-dimensional array. In the index 0, we have this array, person 1, person 2, person 3. So we have the persons 1 array inside our persons f array, and like that the array fill works. So we have the starting index. Let's start with the -1 and see. So we have the index is -1, but if we have another element, like for example 2 here, so we will use 2, like for example -5. So -5, the next element which will be 0. So if we make the number 3, so we will repeat this array 3 times, the number 3 times. When we reload, we have -5, 0, 1, the indexes. This is the array fill. So let's see how it works. Before I will delete all these things. So we have an array. It will take the values of this array by the array fill. It has 3 parameters. It will return a new array with keys and values. It will get the starting index to start in this array. If the starting index or the start index is a negative number, so it will be starting with, it will start with this negative number, and the next element will be 0, 1, 2, etc. So it will get this value and make it here, and see the num parameter. If the num is equals to 1, it's equal to 1, so it will just make it one time. If it's equal to 2, so it will return this value, and it will make it 2 times, so in the first index and in the second index. This is the array fill method. So it will fill all this array and return this array using these values and the start index and the num of all elements. After the array fill, we have the array flip element. What's the array flip method? So the array flip method returns the array upside down, turns the array keys to array values and array values to keys. Note that the array values must be valid as keys, thus integer or checks. The function will issue a warning if the value is not correct, and the function will not include the warning in the returned array. It has the array as parameter, and it returns the flipped array if it succeeds and null if it fails. So let's take an example to understand how it works. We will copy and paste the title and the comment. So we have array flip, and here we have array flip title. I will create an array of languages. So we have an array of languages. We have the EN as key, English as value, FR as key, French value, ES key, Spanish value. So we will create another array, languages F, and I will use the array flip. I will pass the languages as parameter. Then I will print languages F. Let's reload and see. But firstly, I will print also the languages key. Oh, sorry, the languages array. Great. Let's reload and see. So this is the languages array, EN as key, English as value, and here for the flipped array, you have the English as key and the EN that it was a key, now it's a value. The French, it was a value, now it's a key. And FR, it's a value. This is the flipped array. It will flip between the values and the keys, and this is the returned array. Let's see how it works. So we have an array of the keys and values. By the array flip, we will pass the array as parameter. It will check if there is elements in our array. If there is no element, it will return a warning error. If there is elements, so it will firstly create an array and get this key and make it as a value here, and get this value and make it as a key in the new array. The same thing, it will get this key and make it as a value, and the value of this key, it will be key in the returned array. It will return an associative array, and it will flip between the keys and values and return this array as you see here. The English, it was a key, it was a value, and now it's a key. This is the array flip. After the array flip, you have the array filter method. What's the array filter method? This method passes on each element of the array and passes it as an argument to the callback function. If the callback function returns true, the current element will enter from the array to the result array. The function maintains the keys associated with the values. It has two parameters, the array and the callback function, which is the function specified by the user to filter the array elements. If you do not pass any function, all elements of the array equal to the false value will be deleted. Let's take an example to understand what I explained. And the example that I want to do is I will firstly use the title and the comment. So we have array filter, and inside I will create an array review, for example, is an associative array. So this is our array. We have the days of the week. So we have in Saturday we have dollars. Sunday we have 0. Monday we have $900. Tuesday we have none, so we haven't worked. Wednesday we have 0. Thursday we have $900. Friday we have $300. I will review, or I will filter this array and get just the days that have earnings. Let's do that. So I will use another array, final review. Using the array filter, I will pass the review as parameter. I will print the first array review and use print r to print also the final review. Let's reload and see how it works. So we have the array filter. We have Saturday 300, Sunday 0, Monday 500, Tuesday nothing, Wednesday 0, Thursday 900, and Friday $300. In the final review, we have just Saturday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday. So we have just the days that we have earnings. We have 300, 500, 900. So the array filter will check if the element equals to null or equals to 0, and it will make the value, it will change the value of this element to false, and it will not return this element in the returned array. Let's see how it works. So we have an array. We have here 0, here 300, here 1, here 50, and using the array filter we'll check if this element equals to false or equals to 0 or equals to null. It will not return this element in the returned array. So we have the returned array here. It will not return this value here in this array. So it will check if 300 not equals to these values. It will get this value and keep it here with the key of this value. The same thing, it will check if 1 is equals to false or it equals to false or 0 or null. If it's not equal, it will get this value and keep it here. And like that, it will return an associative array with all the keys and values of this array. So today we have learned the array fill keys, how to fill an array of keys to another array, how to fill an array of values to another array, and how to flip between how to change between the array between the values and the keys using the array flip, and finally how to filter an array using the array filter method. Thank you for your watching.